IP version 4 has the following IP address types. So we say IP version 4 address types, or for instance, we have unicast, and I think you guys were told about this unicast, multicast, and all that. We have multicast and we have broadcast. So those are the three types of addresses that are available with IP version 4. But with IP version 6, we have a difference. We have with IP version 6, we have unicast and we have multicast. Sorry about that. And we have anycast. So that is the difference. This is just the difference between IP version 4 and IP version 6. That is another difference. With IP version 4, you have unicast address that is one-to-one. We have multicast, one to a group, and we have broadcast that is one to many or one to all. But in IP version 6, we have this similarities, but we have one difference you can spot right here, that is the broadcast and the anycast. So there is no broadcast IP address for IP version 6. There is no broadcast IP version 6 address, but there is anycast. What the difference between anycast and broadcast is, the broadcast is intended to all. Okay, broadcast is intended to all that can receive at the time, no problem. But with IP version 6, it does anycast. It does address, it does send to those that really needs it. Okay, it gives it to those that needs, or you can even use, let's say for instance, IP version 6 address. One address can be given to multiple devices at the same time. Let's say for instance you have two servers that use the same or that provide the same function. What you can do is give them the same IP version 6 address, because IP version 6 does not use the local IP, it uses the link local address. We're going to talk about that to provide communication between hosts. So therefore the IP address can be the same. But if you do this with IP version 4, it will tell you that there is a conflict. But with IP version 6, it's not easy for it to have a conflict. So you can use the same IP address. So that is this anycast. So 1 to the nearest. Okay, if you're very very near to the device with the IP address, it gives you access. So let's say for instance I have a DHCP server, I give it IP address from my IP version 6 block of addresses, and then I have another DHCP server, so I can give them the same IP address. So those closer to the DHCP1 would connect or would obtain their IP address from DHCP1, and those very near to DHCP2 would. So we are not going to talk more about IP version 6 right now, but we will talk about IP address version 4. So these are the types of IP version 4 addresses. Okay, so next we are going to talk about the classes of IP version 4 addresses. So we have classes of IP version 4 addresses, in case you don't know. And why we put IP address version 4, why we put IP version 4 addresses in classes, because it's limitation. So it has to be put in classes so it can be easily managed. Okay, so classes of IP version 4 addresses are A, class B, class C, D, and E. So basically these are the 5 classes of IP version 4 addresses. Okay, so we have the range of IP version 4 address classes are, we have from 0 to 127 is class A, or any address that starts from 0 to 127, the first octet starts with, that is IP version 4 class A. So what of class B? Where does it start? Class B starts from 128 to 191. So that is exactly what we're looking for. So 191. Next is class C. Where does it start from? Class C says I start from 192 all the way to 223. Okay, so 223 is the last valid IP address for class C, and for class D we have 224 all the way to 239. So for class E, which is the last one, is from 240 to the last address, that is 255. So any IP version 4 address that begins its address within this range from 0 to 127, it is a class A. But some people say that the address 127 is reserved. Okay, it's reserved for testing purpose. But I can tell you it is, yes, reserved for testing purpose, but then it is part of class A. Okay, so it cannot be classless. Some people just say I was in 4 class A is between 0 to 126, and this other one from 128. But then why is the 127? In fact, the 127, like I can tell you, is part of class A, but it is reserved, meaning it is designed to be used for testing, for devices that test their own capability. Let's say, for instance, I want to know why my device is not accessing the internet. I can test my device NIC card by using this address 127.0.0.1 or 127.1.1 or 127. Whatever. It will allow me to test my device NIC card to see if I can be able to access the internet, or to see if my NIC card is fully functional. So these are the addresses. So next we go, this address class D, or from class A to E, we are going to only use class C. We are allowed to use only class C. Class D is not usable. It is reserved for multicast purpose. So you just have to know that class C is designed for multicast purpose, and